Hello and welcome to the Ant-Man channel. It is Friday, the 1st of November 2013. And I have an article in front of me called, and it's actually under W&D under the column Commentary. It is by Joseph Farah. Between the lines, there go the Southern Baptists. ... Exclusive Joseph Farah takes issue with denomination official. Excuse me. If you want to go check this out for yourself, just go to WND.com under commentary or opinion. It's under both, I guess. Actually, I think you should just go to commentary. But yeah, it's There Go the Southern Baptists by Joseph Farah. I'll just get into this. The new leader of the Southern Baptists Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission wants to keep his church relevant by making it more like an anti-church culture at large. Oh, man, can I relate to this today? I'll back up Joseph Farah by saying yes, the church tries to be relevant these days. And is it biblical? No, it is not biblical to be relevant in the world. We're not trying to fit in with the world. And in fact, that's the problem with the church. Is the church isn't. I think there's a saying that goes with this. The problem isn't the church in the world; it's the world in the church. That's the problem. At least that's what I take away from all that I have been able to learn about Russell Moore, this 42-year-old who eschews political involvement by the church, unless, of course, it's pro-amnesty politics and beating Israel politics or even berating American politics. If you have a pastor, if you have a pastor or any type of leader around you who claims to be a Christian, but he's telling you our place isn't to be in politics, then he is deluded. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But the problem with what's going on is that the Christians didn't do anything about what's going on in politics today. If they were doing anything about it, we probably wouldn't have had all this, going on in our time. We are involved in the political process, but we must always be wary of being co-opted by it. Moore told the Wall Street Journal, Christianity thrives when it is clearest about what distinguishes it from the outside culture. That sounds good as far as it goes. I agree with the statement. The problem is it doesn't mean much. It's ambiguous, and making unclear proclamations seems to be more stock in trade. He has, however, written in his own words some pretty revealing statements. Here's one example from his own reaction to the Wall Street Journal piece. I don't think we need a pullback from politics. I think we need a re-energizing of politics. This means we must do more than simply live off the fumes of last generation's activism. Millennial and post-millennial Christians are walking away from the political process, and this is what alarms and motivates me. They've grown cynical at movements that are willing to adopt allies that are gospel heretics as long as they are politically correct. See Glenn Beck or Donald Trump. They are disenchanted with movements that seem more content to vaporize opponents with talk radio sound bites rather than to encourage or engage in a long-term strategy of providing a theology of gospel-focused action in the public square. Emphasis added. Notice how Moore singles out two examples of gospel heretics who have aligned themselves with conservative Christians from time to time. He doesn't cite, for instance, Barack Obama as a gospel heretic, though he has an official or an office in Washington to work with him on a regular basis. In fact, he calls for honoring Obama. Wow, if there's any Christian out there that thinks that Obama is a good president, then he is a heretic. That's ridiculous. You can't, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but don't, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean go around saying he's a saint. Don't go around saying he's, you know what I mean? He's doing something good for everyone. He writes, we are going to disagree with the president on some important things. There will be other areas where we can work with the president, but whether in agreement or disagreement, we can honor. Honor doesn't mean blanket endorsement. Well, wait a minute. I thought we shouldn't even work with the gospel heretics. There is an amazing lack of consistency in Moore's logic. He doesn't worry about working with gospel heretics himself while promoting amnesty legislation. I suspect he would never single out Nancy Pelosi or Harry Reid or Joe Biden for harsh criticism as gospel heretics. In other words, Moore is not someone who arrives at a political viewpoint working backwards from a biblical Christian worldview. Rather, he seems to shape his worldview through the lens of what seems to be the right choice politically. He grew up a Democrat. He reluctantly admits voting for Bill Clinton, whom he voted for in more recent elections is a little murky. Excuse me. That phone will never fail to ring as long as I'm reporting the news. But Moore seems to hold special animus for conservative Christians like Jerry Falwell and Moore's predecessor, Richard Land, while preaching love and compassion for those pushing for same-sex marriage. Why? Wow. Might as well just take the battery out. Why? He doesn't see marriage as a culture war issue. Whether Moore sees it that way or not, those promoting same-sex marriage certainly do. Then there's the matter of Israel. The Jewish state has received more unconditional love and support from the Southern Baptist Convention than nearly anywhere else. That appears to be coming to an abrupt end under the leadership of Moore. Here are some experts of his thoughts on Israel. Israel's American critics on both the left and the right of the political spectrum have been frustrated by what they consider to be the political carte blanche given, carte blanche? I don't know what that means, given by evangelicals to the Israeli state. It is rather obvious that contemporary evangelical support for Israel draws its theological grounding from the dispensational Bible conference tradition, not from the Reformed Princeton tradition. He describes himself as in line with covenant theology that he says maintains the church. Not any current geopolitical entity is the new Israel, the inheritor of all Israel's covenant promises. Lastly, Moore calls himself a communitarian. What is a communitarian? As a former communist, I can tell you it's a lot like that without the party discipline. Look it up in the dictionary. Here's what you will find under communitarian if you use Webster's New World. The preferred choice of U.S. newspaper people, a member or advocate of a communist, communistic or communalistic community. I mean, we can just dice words and call good bad and bad good these days. You know, we could just call communism good. We could call liberty bad because that's what people want. They just want to be slaves all day. That's it. No alternative definitions offered, but you choose any dictionary you like. I suspect you'll find a similar definition. But we don't have to look it up in the dictionary to see the striking resemblance between communitarian thought and communist thought. Both center on the idea that the individual and the family need to be de-emphasized in favor of the community or the state. Just like MSNBC said, your children don't belong to you, they belong to the state. Hitler did that, you know. I don't like to bring up Hitler for every single thing that comes up, but it's true. He did do that. To put it in its simplest form, I have described communitarianism, a form of communism for people who believe in God, or say they do. You can say you're a Christian, you can say you believe in God, doesn't mean you are, and doesn't mean you do, or it doesn't mean you're on his side. You know, people who mock God, they're not really mocking God. They're just, God's laughing at you because you think you can mock him. He's like, you know what I mean? He's just like, look at this guy. He thinks he's in control of something. It's hilarious, dude. I mean, you got to have a bigger, way bigger view of things than that to just think like you can make up whatever reality you want to live in. It's ridiculous. It's the reason the Roman Empire fell. You know, they became decadent just like the American people have because of all the freedom and liberty that we supposedly have. You think you can just, you know what I mean, live whatever life you have and that there's no responsibility in upholding this liberty or defending it in any way. If you find that description discomfiting with regard to the thinking of Moore, don't blame me. I didn't label him and that term. He did. Well, this is a republic, but since everybody wants it to be a democracy, what happens when a state becomes democratic? It always leads to socialism and communism. But I guess you have to read a history book to know that. I mean, what do I know, right? But anyways, I encourage you guys out there to just practice what you preach, all right? Don't be I'm going to call you out if you call yourself a Christian and I see you not, you know, I don't have any shame in that. I feel like that is my duty. I'm not going to be blamed for, you know, the way that they portray us Christians nowadays in Hollywood is really, they're mocking us openly. Evil is out there openly mocking and openly being evil in everyone's face nowadays. Because what won't you put up with nowadays? The government knows that you will put up with anything. That's why they put everything in your face. And they lie to you like you're 6 years old on the news all day. So I'm going to call you out, man. If you think you're a Christian, I'm going to hold you accountable like the Bible tells you you're supposed to. Not like, you know, like how we treat the president like he's a celebrity. Like, oh, look at Obama. Let's all get on our knees and get prostrate and just worship him. No, the president should be held accountable for what he does. We should support him. We should want to like the guy, but you should hold him accountable to his word. so far he is not truthful in anything he says. So I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Don't have misplaced compassion for people who want to do you harm. If people are evil inherently and you know that, then you should tread lightly. You should be aware of these things and use tact, use tactics, be tactful. Know that you're up against spirituality. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they don't know that they're actually just puppets. They're puppets to the spirits. You know what I mean? You're either in the Holy Spirit or you're just a puppet for all the evil spirits out there. And you're just, you know what I mean? They look at you like you're their clothes. And you know what I mean? And nowadays we have the internet. We have all this information at our fingertips. You have no excuse for being this ignorant nowadays. So you cannot just get away with, you know, da da da. Like if you, like I always debate the evolutionist, and I always bring up the second law of thermodynamics, and they always try to say, oh, well, this isn't, that only, you know, that only applies to a closed system and whatnot. And, you know, it's really ridiculous, you know, whether it's an open or closed system is not really a good argument because everything needs energy, you know what I mean? And it's just ridiculous. Everything tends toward disorder. Everything does. If you don't take care of something, everything tends toward disorder. It's true in the universe. It's true in here on Earth. It's true in your own hair. Like when you wake up and if you have hair, like I don't have hair, so I can't really make this a good example. But if you wake up in the morning and you have like long, voluptuous hair, it's always messy when you wake up. That's what that applies to. Is that, you know what I mean? Everything kind of tends to disorder. You have to order everything. You have to bring everything to order. So if everybody's just kind of just watching everything kind of just pass by and you're not doing anything about it, well, what do you expect? This is just the way. These are the laws of the things that we're bound to in the universe. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything. Like put it this way: God's not bound by our laws, our physical and natural laws. Like He's not bound to that. He's not even in time. He doesn't exist in time. Only we do, and you know what I mean? You gotta take that into consideration when it's like, okay, well, what do we do here and what do we do there? And even in science today, I think a lot of the reason why people don't believe in God anymore is because there's a lie that science proves that God doesn't exist. It's a lie. I study science like no other, and I know that evolution is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my life. You have to have an imagination and be totally deluded to believe in that. But what do I know? I'm just a normal guy. I didn't finish high school. I didn't get a pat on my head for learning all this garbage in high school. So, hey, what do I know? But anyways, just subscribe to my videos if you like them, and God bless you.